picture the scenario. You wake up at 5 in the morning.
Oh, the classic highly optimized morning.
Exactly. You drink the perfectly optimized green juice, you do your journaling, you read the latest best-selling self-help book.
Right, checking all the boxes.
Yeah, you might even be paying a life coach a pretty decent amount of money to, like, help you level up. You are doing absolutely everything the manual says you should be doing.
I mean, you are doing the work.
You're doing the work, and yet when you look at your actual life, you just feel utterly exhausted. And things are somehow, well, they're still going south.
Yeah.
You get this sinking feeling of, wait a minute, I followed all the rules here. Why is the machine still broken?
It is a profoundly isolating place to be.
Truly.
Because you feel like you've punched in the correct combination to the safe, but the door just refuses to swing open.
Yes, that's exactly what it feels like.
And what usually happens in that moment is we double down. Like, we assume we just didn't try hard enough.
You think it's our fault.
Right. So we seek out another system, another book, another external fix to patch the leak.
Which, honestly, brings us perfectly to the source material we are unpacking for you today in this deep dive.
I'm really excited for this one.
Me too. It's a deeply personal, remarkably raw journal entry written by Dr. Nomasanto Nitzel.
Yes.
And the piece is titled, When You've Done the Work and Are Still Doing It, Yet Everything Still Goes South.
Such a relatable title.
Right. Now, before we really get into her story, I want to clarify something for you. Dr. Nitzel identifies as a sacred relationship healer. And when I first read that, my brain immediately pictured, sage and crystals and maybe some couples counseling.
Sure, that's the standard assumption.
Yeah. So what does that title actually mean in the context of her practice?
It's a great question, and it's really central to understanding her perspective.
Yeah.
When she talks about sacred relationship healing, she isn't just talking about romantic partnerships. She's operating from a framework that looks at the foundational connections in our lives. So our relationship with our lineage, with our own bodies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And most importantly, our relationship with our deepest unfiltered self.
Our unfiltered self.
Exactly. Her practice involves looking at emotional patterns that get passed down or trapped. And she works on clearing them out so a person can return to what she calls an organic standard of life.
An organic standard, as opposed to a man-made one.
Right, rather than a man-made one.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and it perfectly sets up the mission for today's deep dive.
Yeah, we have a lot to cover.
We do, because we aren't just reading about someone else having a rough week. We are exploring a completely radical approach to feeling stuck.
A total paradigm shift.
We're going to look at how stopping this relentless, exhausting search for outside solutions and instead looking backward might actually be the ultimate hack.
Looking backward to our earliest, most unpolished selves.
Exactly, because the instinct of the modern world is just to acquire. Right?
Always. We want to acquire more knowledge, more discipline, more strategies.
Right. But Dr. Nitzel's experience suggests the complete opposite.
She proposes that the answer isn't about acquiring something new at all.
It's about reclaiming something incredibly old, something you abandoned a long, long time ago.
Yes. But to understand the breakthrough, we really need to look at the breakdown.
Right, because this doesn't start with her sitting on a mountaintop having an epiphany.
Not at all.
It starts with her falling into a very, very dark place.
It does.
In her entries, she mentions that the trigger for this whole experience was the full moon in Sagittarius. She notes that in her world, this is seen as an invitation for deep healing work. And man, did she get an invitation.
She certainly did. She is very candid about the sheer intensity of the descent.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a fleeting moment of sadness. She describes crying for almost an entire Tuesday.
Just living a regular Tuesday. Like, she's working, she's sobbing, she's making herself food, she's sobbing.
Just navigating daily life through tears.
Exactly. She sits down to watch a movie specifically. She mentions watching The Hate U Give, and the sadness just hits her like a freight train.
Right.
She literally could not stop the tears. And what I found so relatable is how her brain immediately tried to rationalize it.
Oh, of course. We all do that.
She tells herself, oh, I'm just crying because I'm stressed about money right now.
That rationalization is, well, it's a brilliant defense mechanism of the human mind.
Okay, let's unpack this. Why do we do that?
When we experience an overwhelming formless emotion, the nervous system panics. The brain immediately scrambles to attach a logical, surface-level label to the feeling.
Because a label makes it feel manageable.
Exactly. A label gives the illusion of control. Financial stress is a very convenient, very tangible hook to hang an existential anxiety on.
That makes me think about the check engine light on a car dashboard.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Right, when that little orange light starts glaring at you, which
Hmm.
is essentially what this deep sadness was for her. Our modern instinct is to just slap a piece of black tape over it.
Just cover it up and pretend it's fine.
Right. We want a quick, logical fix. We tell ourselves, if I just make more money, the light will turn off. We want the uncomfortable feeling to go away so we can get back to driving.
But the thing is, she didn't reach for the tape.
No, she didn't. And that's the turning point.
She made a very conscious, difficult choice. Instead of looking for ways to distract herself or improve her mood, she explicitly decided to sit with the emotion.
She actually went into her bedroom and fully immersed herself in the sorrow,
She cried buckets of tears. She let herself question everything.
asking why, after doing everything by the book, her life wasn't going the way she planned.
Right.
And I want to pause here because I think it's crucial to understand the mechanics of what she actually did.
It's a very important distinction.
Because why is sitting with it so different from just, wallowing in self-pity?
Well, it comes down to emotional processing versus emotional suppression.
Okay, break that down for us.
When you try to logically fix a feeling, like telling yourself to just work harder to make more money, you are suppressing the actual somatic experience of the emotion.
So the sadness doesn't actually go away.
No, the energy of that sadness stays trapped in your nervous system. By consciously choosing to stay with the sadness, acknowledging it as valid without trying to change it, she did something different.
She let it run its course.
Yes. She allowed the emotion to run its full physiological course. She exhausted the stress response.
Wow.
And from a psychological standpoint, allowing an emotion to fully peak and dissipate is how you peel back that surface layer excuse.
The excuse of the money stress.
Exactly. It reveals the actual wound hiding underneath.
She basically let the storm rage until it ran out of rain. She cried until she literally fell asleep.
And because she didn't fight the storm, the contrast the next morning was night and day.
It really was. She woke up on Wednesday completely transformed. She had no sense of agency, no anxiety to fix anything.
Just a profound, quiet peace.
And it was in that vacuum, that empty space, that a realization finally had room to surface.
Yes. She woke up remembering a highly vivid dream she'd had the night before.
And she specifically notes the significance of this dream, right?
She does. It featured her late father. He passed away in 1995.
Oh, wow. A long time ago.
Yeah, and she writes that this was the very first time since his death that he appeared so vividly to her, she could even feel herself touching him.
And he wasn't alone in the dream.
Correct, he was accompanied by a woman.
Now, Dr. Nitzel couldn't actually see this woman's face in the dream, but she recognized the outfit the woman was wearing.
Right, later that day, as she was processing the dream, it clicked.
It was her biological mother.
Yes, wearing one of her absolute favorite outfits.
Initially, she thought this was just a comforting visit, like, oh, my parents heard me crying yesterday, they came to comfort me.
Which is a beautiful thought.
It is, but it didn't stop there. That dream unlocked a much older memory.
It triggered the memory of a dream she had when she was just 4 years old.
Now, this childhood dream was a major deal for her. She had actually written about it previously in her book, Plastic Man.
Discussing how it shaped her entire view of men, love, and life.
But the breakthrough on this particular Wednesday morning was a total paradigm shift.
Because she realized that what she experienced at 4 years old wasn't a dream at all.
It was a vision.
Exactly, it was a vision. She realized she had seen the truth of her path all the way back then.
But she hadn't recognized that it was playing out in real time throughout her adult life.
Right. She saw that the constant loop of emotional pain she was in, this relentless searching for external solutions, was actually a man-made illusion.
Okay, I have to jump in here and push back a little on behalf of anyone listening who might be naturally skeptical.
Sure, go for it.
I hear what you're saying about visions and childhood dreams, but let's look at the reality. She is an adult dealing with professional burnout, financial stress, and the exhaustion of trying to optimize her life.
Very real adult problems.
Very real. So how does remembering a dream she had when she was a toddler solve a modern-day adult life crisis?
It's a completely fair question. And the key here is not to get hung up on the literal mechanics of the dream itself.
Okay, so what should we be looking at?
We need to look at what the dream represents in her psyche. The core issue she uncovered wasn't mystical.
It wasn't.
No, it was fundamentally about grief. Dr. Netzler realized she wasn't actually sad about money. She was mourning the loss of a very specific, vital aspect of her identity.
Her 4-year-old self.
Yes, her 4-year-old self.
Mourning her 4-year-old self. Break that down for me. What does that actually mean in practice?
It means she recognized a profound trade-off she had made. You see, as children, we are inherently sovereign.
Meaning we belong to ourselves.
Exactly. A 4-year-old doesn't perform. If they are happy, they laugh. If they're angry, they scream. They own their inner world.
They just are who they are.
But very quickly, we learn that our messy, loud, authentic selves might be inconvenient for the adults around us.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So, to avoid rejection, we start to conform. Dr. Netzel writes explicitly about this realization.
Stating that she had been living a life designed by the expectations of her parents and the standards of the world.
Yes. She says, I chose comfort over sovereignty.
Wow. Comfort over sovereignty. That is such a piercing way to describe
It
it.
cuts right to the bone, doesn't it? Sovereignty is reeling yourself. Comfort is fitting into the mold so society doesn't reject you.
We take that authentic 4-year-old and we lock them in a closet because they are too risky to show the world.
Exactly. And her breakthrough was realizing that all these adult systems, the self-help books, the life coaches, doing things by the book,
Yeah.
they're often just highly sophisticated adult versions of trying to perform for that same approval.
It's an exhausting loop.
It is, because we are frantically searching outside ourselves for a sense of wholeness that we deliberately locked away inside ourselves decades ago.
So if conforming to the world's standards is what causes all this exhaustion, the obvious question is, what does an authentic, non-conforming life actually look like?
Right.
If we've been hiding our true selves since we were 4, how do we even know how to operate without the performance?
It's hard to imagine for a lot of people.
It really is. And what's fascinating is that Dr. Retz didn't have to look to a guru to find the answer. She found the proof hiding in plain sight in her own life.
She took a hard look at the architecture of her life and noticed one structure that had survived every storm.
One area that remained completely unshaken through all her personal and professional challenges.
Her marriage.
Yes. She looks at her relationship with her husband and points out exactly why it survived when everything else felt so fragile.
And why was that?
It survived because in her marriage, she never had to perform. She says that from the very beginning, she brought all of herself to the table, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
She didn't have to contort herself to be accepted.
No, she was allowed to be anything she wanted without judgment. She felt safe, seen, and understood, even in the moments when she didn't understand herself.
Which serves as a brilliant stress test for her entire theory.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, I agree. It proves that authenticity is actually far more resilient than performance.
Think about it like your wardrobe. For your job, for
Right.
social media, for polite society, you wake up and strap on this heavy, tight suit of armor.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
You are constantly sucking in your stomach, metaphorically speaking, to project this image of having it all together. It takes a massive amount of physical and mental energy just to wear the armor.
But your closest, most authentic relationship, like her marriage, is the equivalent of coming home and putting on your favorite pair of sweatpants.
Yes, you can finally exhale. You can let your stomach out. And her realization here proves a massive point.
Which is?
The areas of our lives where we refuse to wear the armor, where we just live in the sweatpants, are the only ones that actually have the structural integrity to survive the real stress tests of life.
Because the armor isn't protecting us, it's what's exhausting us.
Yeah.
And she explicitly connects this back to the drama she detailed in her book, Plastic Man. She admits she wasn't perfectly polished during the course of her marriage.
Right, she had her own baggage.
She had baggage to shed regarding life and love. But here is the critical insight. She didn't solve that drama by trying to be a better, more optimized wife,
She solved it by showing up authentically.
with all the messy, ugly parts visible. It forces you to look at your own daily life and ask, where are you burning energy by performing, and where are you replenishing energy by simply being?
So she identifies the root cause of her burnout, abandoning her 4-year-old self for the comfort of society's approval. And she sees the undeniable proof of how powerful authenticity is by looking at her marriage.
But she doesn't just write this in her journal and call it a day.
No, she doesn't. She
Yeah.
takes very specific, tangible action to reclaim that lost identity.
And this is where the story brings in some incredibly specific, synchronistic elements from her healing practice.
Yes, the timing of her awakening aligns in a way that she finds deeply significant.
She decides she's going to honor this 4-year-old version of herself.
And she realizes that the day she wakes up with this clarity just happens to be the 4th of the month.
Not only is it the fourth, but she also realizes her mother and her mother's twin brother were both born on the fourth.
The number just keeps appearing everywhere.
Right. And she applies the lens of numerology here.
Yeah.
In numerology, the number 4 is highly symbolic.
What does it mean?
It doesn't represent luck or magic. It represents solid structure, support, and balance. It is the number of the foundation.
Which perfectly mirrors the psychological work she is doing.
Exactly. She is returning to her base, finding the solid structure that wasn't built on society's expectations.
Building on that realization, she makes a fascinating choice. She decides to unleash a persona she calls Nantambo.
Dumbo.
This is her inner, imperfect, highly authentic companion, the messy 4-year-old she used to hide. She decides she is going to unapologetically share Ntambo with the world. She even mentions offering Ntambo as a companion to others for a $1 access fee to help people journey back to their own natural rhythm.
It's a powerful externalization of her internal shift. She is moving from passively suffering under the world's rules to actively offering service on her own, highly authentic terms.
And to validate that this new approach actually works, she shares a wild story that happens later that exact same day.
Yes.
She gets a phone call from her cousin. Now, this cousin has a 17-year-old daughter who had struggled with being what they called a crybaby. Sometime prior, Dr. Nitzel had guided the mother and daughter through a womb cleanse. The purpose of this was to clear out the energy of a miscarriage that the mother had experienced before conceiving the daughter.
And what did the cousin say?
The cousin is calling to report that it has been over a year, and her daughter is completely transformed. She is no longer a crybaby.
Now, I know for a lot of people, the concept of a womb cleanse, or clearing the energy of a past miscarriage, might sound quite foreign.
Yeah, definitely a bit out there for some.
But if we look at the mechanics of what she's talking about, it actually aligns with a lot of emerging thoughts in somatic therapy.
Oh, interesting. How so?
The underlying philosophy here is that the body keeps the score. Trauma, or unresolved emotional energy like a miscarriage, isn't just a mental memory.
Where does it go?
It's stored in the physical nervous system, in the cellular memory of the lineage.
Right, the idea of generational trauma being physically passed down.
Exactly. So in her specific framework as a sacred relationship healer, she uses practices like a womb cleanse to essentially reset that somatic baseline.
That makes total sense.
The cousin's call is her proof that when you clear out the inherited expectations and the trapped emotional energy, the person, in this case, the 17-year-old, can finally stop reacting to old wounds and just exist as their true self.
Okay, let's zoom out here, because we've covered numerology, we've covered somatic womb healing, we've talked about childhood visions.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We really have, and these are highly specific practices to Dr. Netzel's world.
Right.
If you are listening to this right now, you might be thinking, look, I don't follow numerology, and I'm not entirely sure how energy work applies to my corporate job or my daily burnout.
Which is a totally valid thought.
But the underlying architecture of her realization doesn't require you to adopt her spiritual framework, does it?
Not at all. You can strip away the specific modalities she uses, and the psychological core of her breakthrough remains incredibly potent.
It's universal.
It is. It directly answers the question posed in the title of her piece. When you have done all the work and you are still doing it, but everything is still going south, what is the next step?
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? What's the answer?
The answer is you stop acquiring, you go back to the basics, you initiate what she calls the sacred return.
The sacred return. I love that phrasing.
It means you stop looking for a better life coach.
Yeah.
You stop trying to build a stronger, shinier suit of armor to impress people.
Instead, you reclaim the parts of yourself that you shoved into the closet so you could fit in.
Yes. Dr. Nitzel lists the parts of herself she's bringing back. The storyteller, the seer, the crybaby, the talkative one, the writer, the badass creative.
She is giving them all a seat at the table.
Exactly.
She is essentially taking the 4-year-old out of the timeout corner, handing them the keys, and putting them in the driver's seat of her life.
Precisely. Because that 4-year-old isn't trying to optimize their brand. They aren't constrained by the traps of the adult world.
They operate on what she beautifully terms the organic standard of life.
They just are who they are.
What an absolute journey we have tracked today.
Truly.
We started with the incredibly relatable feeling of doing everything right, but still feeling stuck. We watched Dr. Nitzel lean into a deeply uncomfortable Tuesday of sadness.
ignoring that instinct to just put tape over the check engine light.
Well, yes, ignoring that completely. And by letting the storm run its course, she uncovered the buried grief of a lost childhood self.
And she looked at her own marriage to prove that unpolished authenticity, wearing the metaphorical sweatpants, is actually our strongest, most resilient foundation.
It completely flips the script on the entire self-improvement industry.
It really does. It suggests that true growth isn't about adding habits or disciplines to yourself.
It is about aggressively subtracting the expectations of others until only the original sovereign you remains.
Exactly.
So if you are out there right now feeling utterly exhausted, feeling like you are constantly performing just to keep your head above water, hear this.
You probably don't need another system.
You don't need another hack if you are just going to use it to perform better for a world that doesn't even see the real you. You just need to stop wearing the armor.
You need to allow yourself to feel the friction of where your deeply authentic self is rubbing up against the highly curated life you've designed for everyone else's approval.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to take with you today. We've talked a lot about the personal exhaustion of hiding your 4-year-old self.
Mm,
But what happens if we zoom out? Think about the structure of your workplace, your industry, or even polite society as a whole.
that's a huge question.
It is. Do you think our modern world is actually structurally dependent on us pretending to be someone else?
Wow.
And if every single person woke up tomorrow, threw away their armor, and let their unpolished, sovereign 4-year-old selves make the decisions, would society collapse into chaos? Or would it finally start working the way it was supposed to? Something to think about.